What's going on, everybody? It's Wesley and Brian here, back at it again on our Pawncast. We got pages to talk about tonight.
Whole pages?
We got wide variety of topics.
Did we talk about what we're talking about?
We did. I think we did.
I hope
we
so.
did. Do you not remember?
Not really, no.
Okay, that's all right.
Did you DM me?
I did. I sent you the DMs. Do we want to do a giveaway a little bit later?
Yeah, we do have the Nebo giveaway from the last Pawncast. Now, it's going to be an easy winner because we've done it and said you had to ask a question. I don't know what the question was. I guess we're going to get to that.
We haven't seen it yet because we want it unscripted.
We only had one question, but we did have a lot of comments. So we do appreciate everybody taking time to watch it. Even if there wasn't a lot of questions, there was a lot of comments on all the platforms. We thank you for your time. We know it's valuable. So
yep.
We'll try to give a really good answer. You know the guy's name that won? We'll get to that. You don't know, do you?
Get to
Is that in your notes?
That was not in my notes.
You know, though, however, there is one comment that we got that I do want to address. For everybody that knows me, I'm technically challenged. I don't know how to look this stuff up, but I do have people. And they do tell me a few of the comments, and we do read each and every one and try to respond, even though I don't personally do it. We got a comment from T-Dub, and he'll know who he is. And he suggested that I need to spend more than $10 on my haircut, which really does kind of hurt because this is an $18 haircut. And being that I'm not very photogenic, I really don't think it matters what my hair looks like. But I got to be honest, at my age, I'm just happy to have hair. However, if TW's talking about Wesley's $20 haircut, because there haven't been $10 haircuts for decades, unless your mom's still cutting in the basement, I'm not sure where you're getting your pricing. Now, I would probably give you that on his hair, because it was a box chain store $20 haircut. So now, I know you wasn't referring to me, but we do appreciate your comment. I just want to straighten you out on that.
I do want to clarify, it's a $20 haircut, but I had a $10 coupon.
I should have known.
But you know, what I've learned is if you skip, like if you don't go get your hair cut for about 6 weeks, we'll send you a coupon in the mail. So you just got to tell them cut a little bit shorter so you can stretch out that time to get a free coupon in the mail.
So if you're a couponer and you need secret hints, he's your man.
That's right.
Anyway, I wanted to clarify that. You know, I know he meant well, but I just have to throw that out there.
I think you have a pretty good hairdo.
Yeah, it's not bad. I got more brown than gray, so that's not terrible.
It's true.
Yep. So anyway, thanks, TW. I appreciate it.
So one of the topics that we wanted to talk about today is the jewelry industry and how jewelry and precious metals and kind of how all that works and how it works for us, how we do things.
Talking about how they come up with their pricing versus like how we come up with our pricing.
Yes.
Yeah. We hear off and on throughout the year that somebody bought a $7,000 or $8,000 ring or 10 or whatever the number is, and you know we bought it on the cheap and made a lot of money. And we totally get that feeling. I understand how you get there from the other side of the counter, and that is a very common thing we hear. And in fact, I'll give you a good example. A couple of years back, a gentleman come in, had a ring that I don't remember what he told me, $8,000 or $10,000 retail, and I knew right away I couldn't help him. I wasn't even going to throw an offer out because I knew, you know, it'd go south in a hurry. So I told him, you know, hey, you need to sell it on Marketplace. We can't really help you. We go off the gold way. If you need a small loan to get through the weekend, you know, $400 or $500, whatever, we can do that, help you come back and get it. And he acted like he understood. He said, oh, I get it. I appreciate it. You know, because I didn't want to throw an offer out there and insult him and make him mad because he was convinced what he had. The next day I wake up to a one-star review that I offered him $300 for his $10,000 ring, and I tried to rip him off. It's like, first place, I didn't make you an offer on your ring. I just offered to do you a small loan to get you through the weekend. So, you know, sometimes communication, and I'll be honest, on jewelry, a lot of it is emotional.
Yeah.
Very emotional. You know, most time there's a wedding involved or
parent,
and they sell you on the fact that these rings are worth a fortune. Mm-hmm. I guess my first question would be, if you have a $10,000 ring, how did we come up with that price, other than that's what you paid for it? There's a difference there. You know, it's kind of like GM builds a car, determines what their parts are, what their labor costs, what percentage of markup they want, and then they put a window sticker in it. Then that's fine. And the jewelry industry does the same thing. Where the difference is, the jewelry industry sets their own appraisals and their own values. Where say, once that used car becomes used and goes to the auction, all the surrounding dealers go to the auction and bid on them, set the price. And the companies that come up with those prices are standing there watching these cars run through and writing down averages of what they're bringing. Mm-hmm. That's two big differences on how, say, an appraisal works versus what real money is, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I know you've done some research on that.
Yeah, so like when you walk into a jewelry store, there is going to be markup.
Tremendous markup.
And you have to say, well, where's the markup from? So the base value would be the materials.
Mm-hmm.
So when we say materials, that's generally talking about gold and a stone, which is typically a diamond.
Yeah.
For example, I got this nice ring here, and we'll get a still photo of it. We'll have it up on there.
I'll hold it so you can do your teleprompter.
Yeah.
What do we got here basically?
So right there, we have a 14 karat white gold.
Mm-hmm.
It has some small, what we'd call like milli chips or diamond chips on the side. And then the center stone is probably a 0.3 or 0.4 of a carat. It's going to be,
say right in there.
Yes, it's going to be smaller than a half carat. So if you were to melt that down, send it in for gold, you'd have $400 in gold there. Mm-hmm. That's what a refiner would pay you for that ring.
Is that full spot?
That is full spot.
Now, in full disclosure, we don't pay full spot because A, I don't get full spot when I scrap something, and B, I have to make a profit. I'll just be honest, we typically float between 60 and 75%, depending on the item. Now, if it's a nice ring like that, we're going to put it out for retail, we'll pay more money, but it just depends what we're going to go with the item.
So that gives you a base, so there's about $400 in gold there, and then you add a little bit for the center stone.
You could.
It wouldn't be tremendous. What would you say that maybe $100 there at most?
At most.
So the general rule of thumb is when you go into a jewelry store, there's going to be at least 10x the material cost. At least is what they're going to put on it.
On markup. That's how they can run 50, 60% off the entire store.
Yeah.
On their sign, it's every summer.
And that grows depending on the chain.
Correct.
So that might be 10x at a local mom and pop independent jewelry store. That might be a $4,000 ring at a mom and pop shop. Mm-hmm. You go into a mall where you have some, medium-sized chains, that might be a $6,000 ring. Or you can go into the big cities where you have the luxury places where you come in, they got custom this, custom that, and you might see that ring be $8,000 to $10,000.
It'd probably have a bigger stone, but yes.
So the markup is just tremendous on what the base materials is actually worth. Mm-hmm. We haven't even said what our price sticker is, have we?
Nope.
What's our price sticker on that?
$6.99.
$700. That is really more of what the true retail value of that would be.
Well, I retail them at a wholesale price, basically.
Right.
We don't get a heavy over spot price. I guess I figure if I can't sell it, I'm going to scrap it. Not all the time, but if I might as well give the customer the bargain. Mm-hmm. So, that's one thing you remember when you bring in someone's ring that they've paid $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 for. Yes, you paid that, but we're on the other end of the stick where you don't have to design them or manufacture them. There is some cost there, and that's initial upfront cost. That's factored into that $6,000 ring that I don't have to factor into it, so I can sell my ring at $600 or $800.
Right.
That is part of the difference. You need to take the emotions out of it, especially if a marriage goes bad. They don't really care, but that's an interesting topic too. But
well, sometimes there's sentimental value of this came from my mom or my grandma,
right,
or grandparent. And there's a sentimental value there that doesn't necessarily translate to actual material.
Yeah. The diamond industry, as far as diamonds themselves, has changed that drastically since COVID.
Yes.
I think you got some stats on that even.
I do. So when we're talking about natural diamonds, the new thing is lab grown. Mm-hmm. Lab grown is
sad leaf water.
The lab grown, they're made in a lab and they're perfect. There's not any.
Are you serious?
Yeah, can you believe it?
I never guessed that one.
Captain Obvious.
So you can only find out those kind of things on our Pawncast.
That's right, lab grown.
Because
grown in lab.
That is top secret industry information right there.
But there's no inclusions. I believe they call them carbon spots or carbon smoke. Mm-hmm. They're perfect.
The 3 C's. You know what they are?
Carbon?
No. Well, yeah, actually it would be. Cut, clarity, and would it be carbon? I don't even know the 3 C's. If you know the 3 C's, put it in the comments below.
Yeah, there you go. You might win a T-shirt or something.
You might.
So versus
clarity, cut, clarity, and that's really bothering me now. Wow, old people. I say that every time.
So these lab growns, they don't have those imperfections that a natural stone might. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the things that back in the day, you natural stone that didn't have blemishes brought more money.
A lot more money. That's where the 3Cs makes all the difference in the world.
Yes.
If you get one that's a lot of inclusions, carbon, it just tanks the price.
So lab grown has really come on in the last 5 years, really post COVID, pretty on, because the lab growns are perfect.
It should be the 4Cs.
With the coming of these lab grown, they are cheaper to make.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the last 6 years, natural stones have dropped in almost 40% of value.
And this is according to a couple sources.
Yes.
My diamond buyer is telling me this, and we AI'd it, and what they're both telling me match almost perfect.
Yeah.
So I know AI is not always right, but my diamond buyer's been in the business for a long time.
Yeah.
And the shift in the last 2 or 3 years has been dramatic.
Yes. Part of it right now is the average engagement today, 50% of all engagements are now lab grown stones.
Did not know that.
So, I mean, even
I thought he was going to say 50% ended up in divorce. I think that's pretty close too.
I think it's higher.
Maybe
than
that's
that.
why they want lab grown, because they know they're not going to keep it.
Well, that could be.
Who knew?
Well, also too, it's hard economic times too.
That's true.
Well, let's see. Let's show off here.
Yeah, but you also got that at wholesale.
Well, we had an insurance claim on it.
Oh, you did you?
We did. That's what happens when you lose a stone. But anyway, so this stone.
So what do you have there? It's 14 karat?
This is actually 18 karat white gold.
And how big's the stone?
The stone is just a little over a 1 carat. I think it's a
1.1,
1.1, I believe. Oh boy, it's been nine years ago now.
Wow.
9 years ago, that was a 20. I believe it was 2,800 for the stone,
Plus the setting.
plus the setting.
Mm-hmm. And at that time, that was wholesale. That was a really good price.
Correct. Today, what do you think? Do you think we could even get $1,200 out of it today?
Well, depending on the 4Cs.
So I don't know if we could,
probably 1,000 to 1,300
yeah.
would be
So
wholesale.
and so in 9 years, it's halved.
Yeah, we've got 10 years ago we had a 2 carat stone that come in, super nice, and I was offered 10,500 just for the stone. Fast forward, we had the stone put in a setting, pretty heavy ring, got some baguettes on it, and I'll bet I couldn't get wholesale 5,000 or 5,500 out of the whole ring. Yeah. It's changed that much.
Paid insurance for 10,000 on the ring.
For easy math, when I see it, an insurance appraisal, jewelry store estimate, I figure 10 to 15%. That's me pretty close to actual content material setting on my counter. I don't factor in manufacturing and design. You know,
Right.
If it's a Fabio or a Leo or it's an oval cut or it's princess cut, I don't really care about any of that.
Right.
It's Neil Diamond. Oh, it's Neil Lane, not Neil Diamond. But
Neil Diamond was a song.
That is an emotional selling point. It's like wearing designer jeans. To me, They got 2 legs and a button. Yeah.
Yeah. So the diamonds have just totally changed. Other thing is, if you go into a store, generally speaking, lab-grown stones are about 70% less than comparable natural stones on their price tags.
And lab-grown's still a real diamond.
Yes, like it's the composition of it.
Right.
It's just not. It doesn't happen naturally. It's man-made.
Correct.
Man forced it to happen.
Yeah, high pressure, and most of the time you get a much nicer stone.
Yeah. When people come in and they say, "Oh, you're trying to cheat me," the first thing I'd recommend, walk over to my case and see what I'm selling them for.
Yeah.
You know, and that's really with any item.
Well, that's true. It's more true with the jewelry because of the exorbitant retail markup. You know, and there again, you have to take the emotions out of, well, I paid whatever it is I paid. It's like any other item. Someone comes in and tells me it's worth twice what I think. I ask them, well, how did you come up with that price? How did you get there? Mm-hmm. You know, and then that's where the conversation starts. We're always going to start with the gold weight. Okay, and if they're small, like the baguettes or chips on the side, the gold weight's worth more than those little chips are worth. They're not worth really anything. If I have a 1 carat pile of them, you know, I'm probably looking at $40-50 tops on the small baguettes, if he's even still paying that. I know as far as my guy wholesaling, he does 3 states. I mean, he does a lot of jewelry stores. I'm not the only jewelry store in town he deals with. His wholesalers just not had been buying because the demand's down so far.
When you opened the store 15 years ago, what was gold per ounce? That have been 1,400 an ounce.
12, 13?
12.
I
So,
can't remember what it was last year.
so think about that.
Oh, assistant.
What year did you open up the shop?
2011.
2011. This is our 15th.
Yeah.
Yeah, this will be 2011.
The jewelry industry does a good job of.
1,500.
Wow. There you go. Okay. So it's 2.5 times, 2.5x.
So think about that. When you put a ring on a scale and it has a diamond in it that we're counting weight for,
Mm-hmm.
we're calculating out the gold weight at 1,500. Today, you fast forward, I think gold today is like 4,600 an ounce.
Somewhere in there.
So it's, 3 times what it was. Now all of a sudden, let's say ring weighs 5 grams, and say 1 gram of that is your diamond. You're better off us calculating your diamond as a gold.
To a certain size, it most definitely is.
Yes. So like that's something else to think about as time has changed and gold has gone up. Gold has gone up in value, diamonds have gone down in value.
There again, I keep saying it, but the jewelry industry does a fantastic job, always have, of keeping the supply a little tight, keeping the price pumped up. That's why if you wanted to trade a $5,000 ring back in, they'll give you full tilt, but you may have to go to an $8,000 or $10,000 ring to do it. Yeah. You always got to go to that next tier, however they split that.
Correct.
But they've already got your money, and they're not going to tell you what we're telling you.
Yeah.
It's the retail big box store jewelry industry is a racket all to itself, and I don't mind saying that on YouTube. Anywhere else we're at, that's just the reality.
And that's to keep in mind. You go in, they say, "Oh, your ring's worth $10,000." They won't cut you a check for that.
They won't even make you an offer.
They won't even make you an offer. A lot of times they'll just say, "Well, we're not buying."
But think about it. They can't put your ring in the case. Say you paid $8,000 for it, and if you want to sell it to them, they're going to say, "Well, I'll give you $600."
Yeah.
I'll give you a fine example of that. It's been probably 3 years ago. A lady come in, had a ring, said, "I just paid, I think it was $6,300 for this ring." So we had the same talk we're having right now, and I think I offered her $750 for it because it was nice. And at first she was kind of set back with the emotions. Oh man, I just paid. So we kind of talked about it, just kind of like we're doing now. I said, tell you what, you go back to where you bought it, tell them you want to sell it, and ask them what they'll pay you for it. The next day she comes back to me and says, I did that, and they said they'd match your offer, but they wasn't paying a penny more. So it made her mad, and she brought it back and sold it to me. But that's my point exactly. That's why typically the big box stores will tell you, well, we don't buy jewelry and we don't put used in our case, which I don't know whether they do or not.
But at the end of the day, a lot of that stuff, it's not used but kind of refurbished. Gold gets melted down and sold back to the big box stores.
I agree with that, but they'll tell you they don't buy used. They don't put used out in the case.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's a fine point. It's all used.
Yes.
So
the other thing is too, it's not like we're the only pawn shop in the state.
Yeah, you don't have to sell it to us. You know, that's one thing I don't understand. Pick any item, not just jewelry. We have a little more problem with jewelry because of the price tag involved when people buy it, the emotions involved in what they paid, and whatever's going on at the time they paid it. But any item that comes in here, I don't understand why people get mad at me. If I can't pay you what you feel it's worth, hey, that's cool. I get it. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if the expectation is I have to buy that item. Honestly, I don't have to buy anything that comes in here. And if we can't agree on a price, no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
Don't get mad at me if you think I didn't offer you enough. I appreciate you coming in. I'll tell you that. If we don't make a deal, I wish I could do more most of the time, but this is where I'm at. So.
Yeah, there's nothing personal about not being able to reach a deal.
It's just pure business. It's something, we make more deals than we don't, but there are times people get pretty connected.
A lot of people would classify us as rednecks.
Well, we probably are, but some people come in with expectations that whatever they got going on, they need X dollars and I have to take care of it. Yeah. And then if I can't get them there, I've really insulted them or just the fact that they can't get taken care of or what they need, they take it out on us. And that's what we're here for. But, just try to be kosher. If we can't get you what you need, which we don't always get together.
Yeah, we can't stress enough that this is nothing personal. No. Everything we do in here, it is literally just business.
And I'll say again, and we're not always right. Yeah, we're wrong a lot. I mean, we deal with a lot of merchandise, and I've had customers. I'll throw a price out, and they'll say, "I don't think you're looking at the right item." We do some more talking and research. Like, yeah, you're right. I'm not looking at the right item. So I mean, it happens.
I'll give you a perfect example.
You got a perfect example?
A perfect example. A guy brought a hammer in, and to me, it was, dude, that's like a $2 hammer.
There you go. I remember that.
I'm gonna put that out in my $2 bucket. I'll give you $1. I'll set it in my $2 bucket. Guy comes in, goes, "Oh, dude, that's a custom roofing hammer." Pulled it up, bought it, and he goes, "Dude, look that up." I looked up, sure enough, it's a $120 hammer.
Mm-hmm.
Just one of those things where I was wrong. I was wrong to the customer when I bought it. I didn't know, and then the guy that I sold it to, I was wrong again. So, there's nothing personal. I appreciate the guy who bought it taking a moment to say, "Hey, you really should look this up."
Yep.
Because now I've learned. We both remember that instance.
Not out to try to lowball people. We really do try to offer a fair price. It doesn't always seem like it when people's on this side of the counter, or what they're thinking in their head. Happy to talk with you about how we get where we got. Yeah. And why that's where we're at. So anyway,
that's kind of everything I had on the jewelry.
And we do appreciate everybody that commented.
I do want to jump in on something that you said, though. We wanted to talk about. You mentioned something about you're afraid it might have been stolen.
Mm-hmm.
And one question.
We do try to read people and make sure. I mean, that's how we cut down on the problems in here.
Yeah, we are not here to buy stolen stuff.
No.
We don't want to buy stolen stuff. We don't want to sell you stolen stuff.
That's a fact.
In fact, last episode, I think we talked a little bit about
we've touched
the
on
leads
that.
Online.
Mm-hmm.
But one question that came out of that was, how do we handle police holds and stolen items once they are in the shop?
That's a good question. There's a lot to that. People think that they can come in, that's my item, I can just take it. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Even the police officers, when we first opened, it was a battle to explain to them how it worked. And there are cities that have their police department has 2 or 3 guys, all they do is pawn shops. Mm-hmm. If they come in and tell you it's stolen, they're going to take it. State statute, pawn shops, I'm considered a lending institution. Pawn shops have a legal lien on an item if it's in pawn, regardless where it comes from. So if someone reports it stolen, comes a
police hold,
contested item. What that means is it's in pawn, it's got a legal lien. Report it, say it leads online hits, or a customer comes in, I said, yeah, it's a good serial number. It becomes a contested item. That item then gets put on hold. Those items can only be released by a judge after it goes through court. The police officers we don't have any trouble. We got a great crew in this town. We get along great. We work good together. But I've had some out-of-town officers in that if they say they're taking it, they're taking it. That's how they do it. That is not correct. And this is according to the state.
Yep.
So the state statute puts the lien on it, goes to court. The judge will say, not stolen, and who it belongs to.
Yep.
And at that point, they bring me a form, or they're supposed to, tell me who to release the item to.
Yep.
Sometimes they put us down for restitution, which I hardly ever see. I don't really expect it anymore. It should just be a second crime because you defrauded us as well as the person you took it from. Mm-hmm. And that should be true no matter, who gets hung. Even if it's just a schmo individual, that should be a second theft charge.
Yeah.
But, the state doesn't do it that way. So we kind of dig our heels in sometimes. We put holds on things, and it sets here, goes to court. I've got a game system in here. It's been on hold for almost 2 years.
Yep.
2. I'm still holding it. I have no idea what the outcome's going to be.
Yep.
It may never go to trial. So I've got an edger over here that 2.5 years ago probably got contested as stolen. We put a hold on it, went to court. I was convicted, and the court released it to the owner, which we had to call 2 or 3 times to find out who to release it to. A year plus has went by. I've called the people a couple different times, said, hey, come pick your edger up. Haven't seen anybody. It's out for sale. If that's your edger and you want it back, you need to get in here before I sell it because it's going down the road. I'm not holding it for another year. But
well, and some of that comes into legal abandonment. Some
point.
Yeah,
it would. And I had a case where I had a chainsaw was contested. One of the sheriff's deputies come in and took it. And this is when everybody's still trying to get on the same page how this works. The state will actually tell me more than once, we recommend you do not release anything to the police and only release it with a court order. Basically tell me, don't give it up because that's the law.
Mm-hmm.
Try telling that to a sheriff's deputy standing here telling you that stall come back stolen and I'm taking it. Well, that particular case, I let him take it. And a couple months goes by and that officer's back in. And I said, so what happened on that stall? He said, well, the judge threw the case out, but I give it back to the owner. And I said, well, I'm the owner, according to the judge. I had a legal lien on it. It's apparently not stolen. So I didn't use my how to win friends and influence people skills in the rest of that conversation. But, since then we've got along great, and if that guy's watching, dude, I appreciate you. There's no hard feelings here. It's a learning curve.
Yeah, we have an entire shelf or area that's just dedicated to if something gets put on police hold.
I think right now it's got 2 items on it.
Yeah, it's got a couple of items on it.
Like we touched the last time, we've banned so many people that people kind of know, don't bring your stuff down here because we'll make sure you get arrested.
Basically, because if something gets put on police hold,
it sits so long.
It sits. Basically, we become storage for it until it gets settled.
I wish the state would change some of the laws, like I say, to rectify brings me a stolen item or anybody buys something that's stolen from someone else, automatic second theft charge, and clarify exactly. They tell me not to release it, so there needs to be some clarification. But it's not a big deal. We don't see a lot of it. Was
Ohio.
Was that Ohio?
Yes, Ohio has different laws. In fact, they have a fund that goes towards restitution of stuff like that, and then it gets settled in court. They go after the person that was convicted.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Those guys definitely do it. Every state does it different.
Yeah.
Don't get put on hold. It might be we never hear anything. Then we got to call and nothing. The system's not perfect. Everybody tries to stay within the boundaries of what works, and it's just tough sometimes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know if that answered that question or not.
Yeah, I think that gives people an idea on what we mean when something's on police hold. And
yeah.
So, but we did have a couple other questions from the commenters.
Have I heard any of these yet?
I mean, I haven't. So you probably haven't.
What's the weirdest thing that has ever came into your pawn shop?
Oh, weird.
You talking about people or things?
Yeah.
Thing? Probably prosthetic leg. We had it hanging on our wall for a long time. An old peg leg. It was weird. I thought it was neat. You know what? We finally sold it too. I don't know what they've done with it, but
that's a pirate's leg, like a pirate's peg leg.
Yeah, but it was metal and had a little foot that flexed on it. And just kind of strapped on your stub, your nub, whatever you call it. I feel for anybody has to wear one of them because that thing didn't look comfortable. That's a bad situation. I don't know. That's probably, there's a lot of weird things, but that was always kind of stuck in my head.
It kind of falls in the category of gold teeth a little bit.
I like gold teeth.
What else we got?
What's the most expensive item that you've ever had?
Single item or quantity?
Ooh, would that be my comic book?
I don't know. I could tell you the most expensive. It was a single loan. I loaned on a box van full of brand new TVs.
Like a box truck?
Yep.
That was full of
box truck.
Full of brand new TVs.
Somebody's redoing a hotel and they pre-ordered the TVs before they had the hotel done. Run out of cash. So it was a substantial amount of money. It didn't work out too good. It took me forever to sell all them. Tell you what it would be. I bought I can't remember, it was 1880 something. I don't remember the date. It was a Morgan Silver Dollar Carson City. And I sent it in and had it graded at PCGS. Sold it to another dealer. And this guy was from Carson City. Said he had a shop right across the street. And I think he paid me $10,500 for it. For a single silver dollar.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty cool.
Is pawning better than a payday loan?
Well, because we're here, and I don't think there's any payday loans in town.
I don't think anymore.
I can't really answer that. I don't know all the ins and outs of payday loans. I know the politicians, if you will, are always going after those guys. I don't know if it's justified or not justified. I think that's a deal where you'll cash one of your checks, hold it till you get your check to pay them back, I think.
Fee.
Yeah, not something I've ever really looked into. I don't have a good answer on that.
I would think we would be beneficial in the fact that you can come in at any time, almost any day, and get cash today. I wonder if
you have to have a job. That's the first place you'd have to start.
You have to have a job. Some pay periods can be different. I don't know how that would work on a pay period that's biweekly.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I say, it's not something I've checked into or done. I don't have a great answer. I just know that you always hear them check cashing places and the payday loans that the seems like the government's always on them trying to down, and I don't know, if that's justified or not. Couldn't tell you.
That's how you know these questions are unscripted, because if we would have had that one in advance,
We'd AI'd it and I'd have looked smart.
we would have had all the information. But clearly, we're the better option.
Absolutely, because we're in town and they're not.
That's right. That's right. We got a couple of things.
Oh, yeah.
The Doofus of the week. We're setting a trend. This isn't good.
It's another in-house, but I didn't win this time. And I will say, when I asked Doofus of the week with the guitar, gentleman commented that would come in and help us. And I do appreciate that. I'd love to remember that and made a call, but I didn't. But thank you for the offer. I appreciate it.
In this instance, they've reached out, and we do have their contact information.
And we will try to remember. But when we're slammed in here like it was that day, because honestly, if we hadn't been busy, probably I wouldn't have bought that thing. But I didn't need to spend more than 20 seconds looking at something. But I thank you for reaching out to us.
But we're always interested in having a guy to call.
Yeah, we need. Yeah, there's. If you can't tell, there's no actors or experts here.
So another in-house.
We do.
We got photos. We're gonna put up photos.
I was walking by the bathroom, if you will. One of my workers, I won't mention Tyler's name, comes up and her sleeve is wet, clear up to about here. Boss, I just flushed my phone down the toilet. And when I looked at her arm, I knew she wasn't kidding because she tried to go in after it. So we now put a string around her neck and hook and tape it to the phone. But that right there is proof that they don't. So Tyler wins our Doofus of the week. So there you have it. If anybody knows how to fix a waterlogged phone, let us know. At least it wasn't me.
At least it wasn't me. We might be in the market of getting a new phone.
We might be. We're working on it.
Yeah, so the last thing we want to touch on today, just want to say thank you to the people that are following and subscribing on our social media pages. We've hit a couple milestones on the new pages, and so in the coming weeks, we're going to try to discontinue or shut down the Chinaman's account. So hopefully here
on our Facebook
and Instagram. So
they hacked that too.
Yeah, because they're both owned by Meta. So yeah, so hopefully
Meta's owned by X, and that's where you
Meta
DM people to. Okay,
that's right, boss. That's right. You're getting it. He's coming along.
I'm working on it.
So hopefully, I know it gets confusing. We've had people come in and say, "Hey, which account are you?" So you got 2 Instagrams. So you got 2 Facebook. So hopefully, here in the coming weeks, we're gonna be able to shut those down. We'll take care of it. So
that's a good plan.
Hopefully, here in the coming weeks, you guys will see that, and I'll clear up just the confusion. Once again, we are the verified pages. So, but we do appreciate everybody who jumped ship and came over to the new page. We really do appreciate you guys.
Absolutely.
So,
wait. We didn't see who won the drawing.
So, our winner of our Nebo flashlight kit is Jeffrey Kelly.
So congratulations. And for some of the people that left comments, we're going to pick out a couple. Thinking about maybe t-shirts are $20, buy 2, get 1 half off. But so we still maybe throwing you a t-shirt. If you're in town, maybe just give you $20 in store credit. We're not, whatever works best for you. If you're out of town, it'd be hard for you to spend it.
Yeah, maybe if you're out of town, maybe we'll try and get you a discount to our eBay store.
Yeah, that would work.
But thank you, Jeff. We appreciate your comment and question, and we appreciate everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely.